Alright, we're live. I also brought my tourist t-shirt. Okay, let's see. So patch notes. Let's finally listen to the patch notes. I'm not gonna read this shit. I think I'm gonna read it. Probably not. Alright.
Path of Exile.com. Early access patch notes. Content update
Surprise me.
0.5.0 Path of Exile 2. Return of the Ancients. Forum. Path of Exile. 99:126 minutes. The Runes of Alder League. Start fresh in a new economy with the Runes of Alder League. In each area in the Runes of Alder League you will find a remnant which allows you to craft an item of your choosing by using runic recipes engraved into the slots on the remnant. Depending on the rune shapes used, you will then face an encounter with tough enemies that you will need to defeat to claim your item. Each additional rune shape used to craft the item will increase the number of waves of enemies, adding additional runic modifiers to the enemies with each wave. Remnants start with any number of slots between 2 and 10, with higher numbers being much rarer, but allowing you to craft much rarer items. Monsters raised by remnants can drop Verisum metal, a new currency. Added new NPC Pharaoh with 4 new quests in the campaign, allowing you to unlock various new crafting features.
Like what?
New crafting system, Verisum Rune Forging. After unlocking Verisum Rune Forging in Act 1, this system allows you to add runic ward to your armors by spending Verisum. Armors lower than level 55 gain runic ward with no downside. Armors above this level trade some of their regular base defenses for runic ward. Added new defense, runic ward. This defense kicks in once you reach 1 life, allowing you to continue to survive while your runic ward takes damage. Runic ward regenerates independently of your life. Added 13 new alloy currency items,
What
which
if you
can be
don't
unlocked
hit
through
1
remnant
life?
encounters after completing Pharaoh's quest in Act 2. These items add various new crafted modifiers to items by replacing an existing modifier, similar to perfect essences.
Then.
After unlocking unique Verisum Rune Forging in Act 3, you can upgrade the base type of unique weapons and armors that drop at levels lower than 55. Upgraded unique weapons will have higher damage, and upgraded armors will have increased base defenses as well as runic ward, allowing them to be more competitive at higher levels. Unique armors above level 55 can still be rune forged to modify their defenses to include runic ward at the cost of reducing their other defenses similar to the base types. Unique Verisum Rune Forging has additional properties when used on Kalgwurin uniques. Added 13 ancient runes which can be unlocked to be crafted by remnant encounters after completing Pharaoh's quest in Act 4. These runes have powerful bonuses specific to each weapon type. Added 13 mythical early game runes that can be crafted from remnant encounters to provide significant boosts to level 15 plus characters. Added 3 fluxes which can be crafted from remnants to transform the resistances on your items from one element to another. Added 15 meta crafting runes that can be crafted from remnants. Added 60 plus runes that can be created by destroying a unique to make a rune that gains some of its properties. Added 15 plus runic ward runes that can be crafted from remnants, adding or modifying properties related to runic ward. Added 21 Kalgwurin skills that can be crafted from remnants: Animus Exchange, Animus Splinters, Bitter Dead, Conductive Runes, Detonate Living, Eternal March, Explosive Transmutation, Fragments of the Past, Frost Flame Nova, Grim Pillars, Hollow Shell, Ley Lines, Powered by Verisum, Refutation, Remnants of Kalgwur, Repulsion, Runic Reprieve, Skyfall, Triskelion Cascade, Verisum Manifestations, and Voltaic Barrier. Added 8 Kalgwurin supports that can be crafted from remnants: Concussive Runes, Fist of Kalgwur, Healing Runes, Kalgwurin Conviction, Rune-Forged Blades, Runic Extraction, Runic Infusion, and Scouring Flame. Expedition remnants have been changed into the remnants from the Runes of Alder League. New endgame story: set out on an expedition with Pharaoh to explore the ocean as you investigate the tombs of fallen Kalgwurins and challenge them to earn remarkable rewards. Seek out the crater of a fallen star, a meteor of pure Verisum, from which you hope to forge objects of immense power, if you can defeat what awaits you there. There is now a hub area, the Ruins of King's March, for the Runes of Alder to the southeast of your starting location on the Atlas. The logbook mechanic has been changed into an ocean exploring mechanic. Using logbooks now unveils a section of the ocean with a variety of islands to explore. Many new underground areas have been added that can be uncovered during expeditions. Many new islands have been added with new grand expeditions, previously known as logbooks. Medved, Vorina, and Uhtred join Ulrith as the 4 faction leaders available to fight on new islands that you can discover in the ocean. Defeating Ulrith will give you a key that you can use to access the new pinnacle boss of the Runes of Alder. The new Runes of Alder Challenge League includes the first set of challenges in Path of Exile 2. Earn pieces of the Knight of Alder armor set when you complete 2, 4, 6, and 8 challenges in Runes of Alder.
Okay.
These challenge rewards are only obtainable in this league.
Okay.
From the first challenge onwards and for every challenge after that, you will receive pieces of the Runes of Alder totem decoration to display in your hideout. The totem pole permanently showcases how many of the Runes of Alder challenges you completed during the league.
Okay.
All of your old characters from the early access launch are still present, but a free passive tree refund has been granted due to the changes. We would highly encourage you to join the new leagues to fully take in the changes we've made with the 0.5.0 update. With 0.5.0, there are standard, hardcore and solo self-found variations of the Runes of Alder Challenge League available. They have the same core mechanics and items, and you can create private league versions of these leagues.
Don't care about
the hardcore variations of Runes of Alder are parented to their standard Runes of Alder equivalent, meaning if you die in hardcore Runes of Alder you can continue on in the standard Runes of Alder League.
No.
Return to top.
Delete character, start a new one.
The Atlas now has fixed points of interest at specific locations, giving you distinct objectives that are easy to find. All league mechanics on the Atlas now have quests that introduce the mechanic and guide you through its various stages up to the pinnacle boss. All pinnacle bosses now have quest versions that can be accessed deterministically, alongside repeatable non-quest versions that offer a greater challenge. Added 30 new endgame map areas. Return to top. Origins of Divinity, the endgame overhaul. New endgame storyline. The Cataclysm of the Beast has invoked an ancient protocol, designed to scour for and purge corruption should it ever take hold to this degree. Traverse the Atlas to enter the fortress and activate the gates. Obtain the keys to reach the ancient precursor weapons and disarm them. On completion of your first tower, a fortress will rise from the earth. Maps inside the fortress grant 1 or more passive points for the Atlas passive tree. This entirely replaces the previous method of gaining Atlas points.
So
the Atlas tree has been significantly expanded with over 300 nodes. After completing all the maps inside the fortress, you will gain enough passive points to fully allocate the Atlas tree. As the entire Atlas tree can be fully allocated, there is no need to allow respecialization for it anymore. Multi-choice nodes on the tree can be changed between options at any time. Many maps in the fortress have ancient modifiers that add or modify the contents of the map. Any maps with modifiers that add secondary content to a map also implicitly add that content to the map as well. Added 40 plus ancient modifiers that have a chance to appear on any map outside the fortress. Added 3 gateway maps with 2 new bosses that can be used to access different sections of the fortress. New precursor tower maps have been added outside the fortress.
Tower maps.
The Burning Monolith along with Arbiter of Ash has been moved into the fortress. Quest versions of the Crisis Fragments have been added to 2 Enigma chambers inside the fortress. Added 2 new Citadel maps with 2 new bosses that drop keys to the new Pinnacle boss. Added Arbiter of Divinity Pinnacle boss. Maps in the fortress can be alternatively completed by killing the Arbiter of Divinity 5 times to complete different sections of the fortress automatically in order to gain Atlas tree points. Return to top. Masters of the Atlas. Alongside the Atlas tree, a new system called Masters of the Atlas introduces ascendancy style progression for the endgame. Players can align with different masters, such as Jado of the Order of the Jinn or the Monster Hunter Hilda, each offering unique, asymmetric bonuses that can be swapped between maps at will, enabling build-defining bonuses. Each master has 12 nodes of which 4 can be selected at the same time. You can change your selection at any time. All 3 masters can be allocated at the same time with quick select button to change between each master before you run a map. Unlock each row of 3 nodes by performing missions for the masters. New Atlas Master, Doryunis Science Case T-Line is unlocked by clearing a corruption nexus.
That's always gonna be the goal, looks like.
Hilda's Hunting Case T-Line is unlocked by visiting Hilda's campsite slightly southwest of your starting location on the Atlas. New Atlas Master, Jado's Spycraft Case T-Line is unlocked by completing an anomaly map near the starting location. Return to top. Delirium. New storyline, an ancient trickster god has been unleashed, spreading madness across Reclassed. Do you dare to uncover his origins and confront your darkest fears? See https://pathofexile2.com/ancients Delirium for more details. There is now a hub area, the Withered Willow, for Delirium to the southwest of your starting location on the Atlas. The maps around this location all contain Deliriums, and give you points for the Delirium Atlas passive tree.
But how do you combine them now?
Has been completely revamped with many new nodes and existing nodes changed. After breaking a Delirium mirror, there is now a progress bar showing how
How the fuck, for example, do you now combine delirium with ritual? Because that's very profitable, especially for solo. That was the thing. Come on, what the hell?
After breaking a delirium mirror, there is now a progress bar showing how deep you are in the fog, and how long you have until the fog clears. The start of the delirium bar represents your initial location at the delirium mirror. The end of the delirium bar represents the location of the map boss.
Yay!
There are now a set of new delirium encounters that can be seen on the delirium bar. Reaching certain depths will cause colored mirror shards to appear.
Okay.
Walking into the mirror shards will break them, activating the new encounters. The direction of the map boss can be observed by looking in the fog effect.
Particular.
Moving in the direction of the fog will always lead you to the map boss.
So you can revive the things
map
that you
bosses
do
in
from
delirium
the delirium
will always be 100% delirious.
Okay.
The damage and life bonus given to monsters from delirium has been reduced.
Okay.
Added 5 new elite delirium monsters.
Okay.
Added a new sub-area, Loathsome Mire. The Loathsome Mire drops 2 new amulet base types that grant 2 instilled notables at the cost of either -1 suffix or -1 prefix.
Great.
Liquid emotions can now be used to craft additional mods on jewels.
Great.
These work similarly to greater essences, each having a set of specific mods that will replace a random existing mod on the item.
Oh.
Completing delirium mirrors now has a chance to spawn grand mirrors on the atlas on a nearby map.
Okay.
Grand mirrors create a duplicate of the map boss in the affected map. Killing both map bosses will unlock a new atlas mechanic, the Trial of Madness.
Okay.
After triggering the Trial of Madness, fog will spread from a map of your choosing on the atlas, including a locked simulacrum.
Okay.
While inside the fog, the entire map is delirious starting at 10%. Killing rare monsters and the map boss increases the deliriousness of all maps in the fog. On reaching 100%, the simulacrum will become available. Deliriousness can continue to be increased up to 200% delirious.
Ooh.
Rare and unique monsters in delirious maps have a set of new delirious modifiers giving them strange new abilities. Map bosses of delirious maps can additionally drop a new set of 3 potent emotions that can be used to craft new powerful modifiers on jewels that are not available in the normal jewel mod pool. These emotions can also be used to instill a set of 16 new passive tree notables that are not normally available on the passive tree. Simulacrum has been updated, and is now a 7-wave encounter.
Ooh, okay.
Completing a simulacrum will now give you a key to face the new delirium pinnacle boss.
Okay.
There is new set of 10 ancient emotions that can drop if unlocked by the atlas tree, which can be used to craft time lost jewels. There are also 3 ancient potent emotions that can be used to craft new powerful modifiers on time lost jewels that are not normally available in the mod pool.
Okay.
Some non-amulet delirium uniques now drop with the Raven Touched modifier, allowing them to be instilled.
Nice.
Return to top. Breach.
That's pretty good.
New Breach storyline. Travel to the Monastery of the Keepers, the hallowed halls of the Keepers of the Flame, and discover the Genesis tree, stolen from the enemy and gifted to the Keepers by the Dreamer himself.
Ooh.
For more information see https://pathofexile2.com/ancients-breach.
Hard pass.
There a new hub area, the Monastery of the Keepers, to the south of your starting
Yeah,
location
like in
on the atlas.
I actually played
the maps around this location all contain breach encounters. Completing these maps gives you points for the Breach Atlas tree.
Aye, what up?
The Breach Atlas passive tree has been completely revamped with many new nodes and existing nodes changed.
Okay.
Starting a breach now shows a progress bar that indicates how long you have until the breach will close, as well as how much time killing monsters is extending the life of the breach. Reaching 100% on this bar will begin a new mechanic, a stabilized breach.
Yay!
A stabilized breach will spawn new challenges at its starting point. Added new boss to stabilized breach, Vruden, Marshal of XESHT. Added new crafting system, the Genesis tree. The Genesis tree allows consuming of womb gifts and hive blood to create rings, amulets, belts and currency. Nodes on the Genesis tree can be allocated to affect what items will be crafted. New nodes are unlocked by using womb gifts. Added 6 new ring base types that can be exclusively crafted from the Genesis tree. Added 4 new amulet base types that can be exclusively crafted from the Genesis tree. Added 4 new belt base types that can be exclusively crafted from the Genesis tree. Added a new set of caster and minion mods that can be crafted onto rings and belts using the Genesis tree. Catalysts can no longer drop from monsters. These are now solely obtained from the Genesis tree. Added a new set of 12 catalysts that can add new quality modifiers to jewels.
Okay, so we need
Killing
to
monsters in a breach now drops hive blood and womb gifts and breach stone splinters. Breach stone splinters turn into a special womb gift when fully stacked. This can be turned in at the Genesis tree to create a breach stone. New breach domains now spawn on the atlas. Using a breach stone will reveal the maps inside the domain, allowing you to enter them. Maps inside the
How
breach
to
domain
farm all of
contain
it
new
at once,
encounters,
not just
breach
specific
hives,
ones.
sky hives, and sky fortresses.
Okay, that's like
Breach
in
hives
PoE
have a
1.
series of walls that can be burned by walking through them.
Yeah.
Each wall destroyed will increase the number of monsters in the encounter, which can be started in the center.
Yay!
Sky hives are a new area in which the breach lords have constructed fortresses that you will need to assail.
Okay,
Sky hives contain a challenging multi-wave encounter in which you will need to defend Aelith while she
like
closes the domain.
fortresses.
Aelith will gain a series of abilities that can be triggered during the encounter with various effects. Fortresses are a new area with a new pair of bosses, Tull and Esh. Defeating Tull and Esh will give you a key to access the existing breach pinnacle boss. Return to top.
Where is
Ritual.
Uneto?
New storyline. Aelith lingers as a restless spirit, bound to the wildwood and searching for one who might answer her call. The king in the mists has claimed her flesh.
You know why Uneto was the good breach boss in PoE 1? Because it drops this amulet, like the rings with the sockets. And in PoE 1, it's like additional link to the sockets you have in your armor. But come on, give us something like this. What were they called? The ones with the sockets, the rings and the amulet, whatever their name was. But that was the good part. Let's see. Maybe we'll get it, or at least a base like this from the
new storyline. Aelith lingers as a restless spirit, bound to the wildwood and searching for one who might answer her call. The king in the mists has claimed her flesh, leaving her soul adrift, untethered, and unable to pass beyond.
So far, everything sounds great,
only by reclaiming what was taken can she be made whole once more. Find out more at https://pathofexile2.com/ancients-ritual.
At least not an
They're a new hub area, Caer Tarth to the west of your starting location on the Atlas.
Yeah,
the maps around this location all contain ritual
working
encounters.
On many other things right now.
Completing these maps gives you points for the Ritual Atlas tree.
And that's why I'm not playing
the
much
Ritual
lately.
Atlas passive tree has been completely revamped with many new nodes and existing nodes changed. After completing a ritual altar encounter in a map, locusts will point the way to the next altar. All items in the endgame ritual reward screen are now either uniques or omens.
Which is good.
Any tribute not spent on rewards can now be sacrificed to gain an audience with the king.
Okay, that's
Killing
good.
the king in the mists now drops a new key, the head of the king.
Okay, and
this key can be used in Caer Tarth to begin the Rite of the Nameless. The
Rite
of the Nameless is a new Atlas mechanic in which you choose a series of 5 maps to complete a single continuous ritual.
Okay.
The monsters from each ritual, including the map boss, will reappear in each map in the sequence, making for a very challenging encounter.
Ooh.
The unique bosses from each map will only appear in the final ritual of each map.
Let me show you how challenging the encounter will be. Snipe. Oh, boss down. Bye. Okay, that's the encounter. Move on.
While choosing maps for the Rite of the Nameless, each map after the first will contain extra modifiers which affect the difficulty and rewards of the rituals during the rite. Each map in the Rite of the Nameless awards one element of the key used to access the ritual pinnacle boss. Added new boss,
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
After allocating a specific node on the Atlas tree. This boss can drop 3 new corrupted idols. Freythorn rituals are now prevented from ever showing deferred items, to ensure items are not lost if returning to this area on a higher level character. Return to top. Fate of the Vol moving to core.
Yeah,
Fate of the Vol has been added to the core game. You first encounter a series of 6 ancient beacons in Act 3, energize them to obtain energized crystals and open a portal to the Vol ruins.
Yay!
You'll encounter a second set of 6 ancient beacons in the interludes. There is now an Atlas passive tree for the Fate of the Vol League mechanic. Atzirai's temple can now be found on the Atlas to the northeast of your starting location in the city of Lyra Vol. Maps inside the city of Lyra Vol always have energized crystals and grant points for the Fate of the Vol Atlas passive tree.
So we
there
do
are also
have
new
to
temple
do this.
precursor tablets that will guarantee Vol beacons in your map if you want to focus on this league. It is no longer possible to prevent a room being deleted from the temple. Rooms that must be deleted, but have other connections, will be turned into simple path rooms. This prevents the snake strategy. The number of rooms in the temple when first starting has increased to allow getting to Atzirai more quickly. Rooms can now be upgraded to Tier 4 after unlocking this ability on the Temple Atlas tree. This allows more specialization into particular room types and encourages more interesting temple layouts. Reward rooms granted from the console after defeating the Architect have been significantly improved, with more varieties to unlock in addition to upgrading the rewards of all the existing ones. Restricted rooms in Atzirai's temple that are accessible will always destabilize upon exiting the temple. Atsiri's temple medallions now have their drop rate scale.
Okay, do you see the problem? Does everyone see the problem now? So they're trying to make us play specific mechanics and buff them as much as we want, as long as our characters can take it. But where is the most important thing in this game? Combining different mechanics in the same map, in the same encounter. That's the missing thing. That was the good thing. Come on. They're fucking with us with this patch.
Atsiri's temple.
I bet, I'm telling you, I bet nobody realized that yet. This is horrible. That's a horrible change. Because this is actually the maximum juicing moment where you can actually get the good stuff while combining different things. Not focusing on one thing at once. That's stupid.
Atsiri's temple medallions now have their drop rate scaled with the number of paths in the temple, in addition to other rooms. Previously only other rooms. Room-based medallions can no longer be used inside of an active temple.
Okay, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
Medallions now output descriptive error message.
Okay, this is very bad. You know why? Because now you have to be extremely careful which ones you actually pick. Oh no, that's very stupid.
Medallions now output descriptive error messages when they cannot be placed. The default maximum number of energized crystals you can store has been increased to 60, and the maximum number of medallions has been increased to 6. The medallions that increase the number of stored energized crystals or medallions are no longer necessary. The monster level of the temple now factors in the level of the areas where the crystals used to open it were obtained. The corruption chamber temple bonuses have been updated to add monster modifiers chance, instead of additional monster modifiers. Portals created in the temple of Atsiri now create a corresponding portal in the parent Vaal ruins for ease of access.
Really?
Vaal beacons now show a grayed out icon on the minimap when completed.
Okay.
There are now 4 types of infusers. Existing Vaal infusers are now Vaal armorers infusers, which can be applied to armor. Vaal blacksmiths infusers can be applied to martial weapons, while Vaal arcanists infusers can be applied to wands, staves, and scepters. Vaal catalyzing infusers can be applied to jewelry. All infusers can only be used on items at or above 20% quality.
So you do have to
Fate
play
of the
the other
currency
mechanics
items
first.
now have a maximum stack size of 5,000 when stored in the wildcard slots in the currency stash tab. Some of the possible outcomes from applying to Vaal cultivation orbs to unique items have been updated. The Atsiri's rule unique staff can now roll 10 to 20% increased life cost efficiency, previously 20 to 40%.
Of course.
The Atsiri's Splendor unique body armor can now roll plus 66 to 100 to maximum energy shield, previously plus 100 to 200. The Covenant unique body armor can now roll 10 to 25% increased life cost efficiency, previously 25 to 50%. The Hateforge unique gloves can now roll plus 16 to 30 maximum rage if you've used a skill that requires glory in the past 20 seconds, previously plus 8 to 12 maximum rage per skill that requires glory used in the past 6 seconds, up to 5 times. The Wrathpith Globe unique focus can now roll 8 to 15% increased life cost efficiency, previously 12 to 20%. The Shackles of the Wretched unique gloves can no longer roll elemental ailments other than freeze you inflict at reflected to you, instead now being able to roll 10 to 15% increased damage per curse on you. The Vertex unique helmet can no longer roll plus 2 to 4 to level of all skill gems, instead now being able to roll plus 3 to 5 to level of all curse skill gems.
Bye bye Vertex.
Abyss.
Stupid.
There are now large abyss cracks on the Atlas. Completing Atlas abysses will close them and always give you an abyssal depths with a boss fight. The Abyss Atlas tree has been revamped with many new nodes and changes to existing nodes. Colmax invitation is now always allocated to the map owner. Abyss omens no longer drop in areas below level 65. Modifiers to the number of chests found now apply to chests found in Abyss. These also apply to the chance to find an abyssal depths, so the chance to find an
this actually matters, because you can't get them in the campaign anymore. That's the thing.
Modifiers to the number of chests found now apply to chests found in Abyss. These also apply to the chance to find an abyssal depths, so the chance to find an abyssal depths does not decrease with more chests in the area. Adjusted the damage of the meteoric demise abyss monster modifier. Lithomantic runes from the Lithomantic runes abyss monster modifier are now active after a longer delay. Return to top. Expedition.
Let's see what else.
Expedition League has been temporarily disabled on standard leagues due to the integration with the runes of Alder. This will be reintegrated into standard after the runes of Alder is over. The recombinator has been disabled. The omen of recombination has been removed.
Sense.
Existing omens of recombination will be deleted upon logging in. The Forgotten by Time Expedition Precursor tablet has been temporarily disabled from dropping. Expedition explosives now wait to explode until most of the monsters unearthed by the previous explosive have been killed. You can now use currency from your stash to purchase items from expedition vendors. Return to top.
That's stupid, bro.
Other endgame changes. With the introduction of the new endgame storyline, the Atlas has been reset. Your existing tablets and waystones will continue to work so you can continue your progression as normal, but in order to gain points for the Atlas tree you will need to do the Origins of Divinity storyline. Added support for searching to the endgame Atlas map. You can now zoom out slightly further on the Atlas screen.
Okay, nice.
There are now two versions of each pinnacle boss, the quest version and the infinite farm version.
Okay, nice.
As such, primary, secondary and tertiary calamity fragments can no longer be obtained.
No.
Tablets of the same type may now be used together to increase the amount of the league content that is spawned. The specifics of this are different for each content type. In some cases, adding multiple tablets will increase the size of a single encounter, while in other cases it will increase the number of encounters spawned. Each empty tablet slot now contributes to the amount of random non-tablet spawned league content in the area. This means that if all tablet slots are full, you will only see the league content from the tablets you are using. The intent of this change is to make sure that you do not need to complete the Atlas trees for leagues you do not intend to run.
Well, we have to run them all.
Be identified in order to activate them in the map device.
No, you have to run them all.
Of chance on tablets.
Just some upgrades
Some items and content now require you to specialize in them through Atlas passive skills, including exceptional items, fracturing orbs, basic, and overseer precursor tablets.
Give me, I don't know, 5 minutes. I'll be back in a bit. Okay, here, sorry, let's move on.
Tablets can no longer be used on maps that cannot have extra content, such as unique maps. League-specific tablets no longer drop from non-map areas, such as Simulacrum, Abyssal Depths, or the Twisted Domain. Lowered the base chances for essences, Mirror Spirits, Shrines, Strongboxes, Summoning Circles, and Rogue Exiles appearing in maps somewhat due to the much larger increase now available on the Atlas tree. Atlas passives that reference maps with powerful map bosses now work with Overseer Precursor tablets and other sources of powerful map bosses. Adjusted the values of General Precursor tablet modifiers to be similar to the same type bonuses granted by Waystone modifiers. Also reduced the roll variance of these modifiers. The following modifiers can no longer roll on Waystones: Barons, Beastly, Brambled, Doryunese, Enervating, Furiduns, Hallowed, of Nemesis, Perennials, Rusted, and Sacrificial. Whether a map modifier is a suffix or a prefix has been adjusted so that generally prefixes are modifiers that affect a monster output towards the player, and suffixes are modifiers that affect the player or monster defenses. The following suffix modifiers are now prefixes: of destruction, of fleeting, of impact, of penetration, of puncturing, of shattering, of splitting, and of venom. The following prefix modifiers are now suffixes: buffering, enduring, enfeebling, eroding, evasive, flaming, hex-worded, shocking, sleet, and slowing. The of overpowering Waystone modifier no longer causes monsters to have increased freeze build-up, shock chance, or inflict increased flammability magnitude.
And what does it do?
It now causes monsters to have increased elemental ailment application. Waystone modifier bonuses have been updated. They now provide more monster effectiveness, pack size, item rarity, monster rarity, or Waystone drop chance, depending on the modifier. These modifiers are multiplicative with other sources, such as those found on the Atlas passive tree. Modifiers to pack size now also provide a chance for an additional rare monster to appear in rare monster packs. Monster rarity is a new stat available that affects the chances of magic and rare monsters, and the chance for additional modifiers on rare monsters. Map modifiers that included sources of increased number of rare monsters or increased number of magic monsters have been updated to only display the number at the header of the map, and not also be displayed amongst the explicit modifiers. This is not a functional change. Have the bonus to quantity of item dropped and experience gain provided by increased monster effectiveness, such as from Itsirai's Temple. The functionality of the Omen of Chaotic Rarity, Omen of Chaotic Quantity and Omen of Chaotic Monsters have been inverted. Instead of guaranteeing the new modifiers are of their type, they instead prevent the modifiers from being of their type. Added the new Omen of Chaotic Effectiveness. While this item is active in your inventory, your next Chaos Orb will replace all modifiers on a Waystone with modifiers that do not grant monster effectiveness. Up to 3 of the above omens may be used simultaneously. Have the damage as extra buffs granted from the following shrines: Freezing Shrine, Gloom Shrine, Meteoric Shrine, and Tempest Shrine.
That's good.
Completion of fixed locations on the Atlas is now shared with party members. With the addition of more varied content on the Atlas map, the size of content indicators has been increased 50%. Waystones have received new 2D art. Return to top. Campaign replayability. To improve how long it takes for experienced players to replay through the game in each new league, we've added elements to multiple campaign areas that tell you where to go, if you know what to look for. You can see some examples in this video. https://www.youtube.com/watch v = mil0 msvwgi. Some areas throughout the game that have been shortened. Removed the second Dreadnought area, the Dreadnought Vanguard. The Act 2 boss is now in the Dreadnought. Area order in Act 3 has been somewhat rearranged in order to make progression smoother. The waterways levers have been turned into pressure pads that you simply need to walk over, and the final part of the level has the water pre-drained. Monster density in the second half of the campaign has been reduced, especially in the interludes, to allow getting through these areas more quickly. Return to top. Player changes. Bleed damage on players is no longer increased while the player is moving. This change does not affect bleeds players apply to monsters. Your maximum runic ward is now added to your starting honor when beginning a trial of the Sea Chemas. The defenses keyword is no longer in use. Existing uses of the word defenses now explicitly refer to armor, evasion, and energy shield to make it more clear that these modifiers do not apply to runic ward, resistances, block, or other forms of protection. This is purely a description change. Only a single leech instance per resource, life, mana, or energy shield, can apply at a time. When multiple leech instances are active, only the one with the highest recovery rate will recover you until it expires, after which the next highest recovery rate instance will apply. There is now a limit on the maximum amount of damage a hit can be considered to deal for leech. Hits that deal less than 40,000 total damage are unaffected, but if a hit would deal more than 40,000 total damage, it is treated as dealing only 40,000 damage for purposes of leech calculation.
No.
The values of each damage type in the hit are scaled down evenly to reach this limit. This means that extremely high damage hits stop improving leech past a certain point, but increasing your leech percentage will always increase the amount of the resource you are gaining.
Okay.
The formula for chance to deflect has been adjusted to provide better scaling with investment into deflection rating, with a cap of 95% chance to deflect, similar to chance to evade being capped at 95%.
Okay.
The new chance to deflect is equals 150, 1, A plus 0.12D, where A equals attacker accuracy rating, and D equals defender deflection rating. This makes for a linear path that gets rewarded at higher investments. Parry, shield block.
What now? 1 minus A, 8, why 0.12? 1. Okay, the multiplier is less. Yeah, okay, that makes it linear for sure. Can draw this later.
Parry,
okay,
shield block and resonating shield no longer delay heavy stun build-up from decaying longer than
Otherwise,
expected.
the curve is like
Melee
really
attacks
stupid.
can now only apply.
Probably previously it was like this. Now it's more like more upwards going.
Melee attacks can now only apply splash damage once per damaging area. Some attacks create multiple damaging areas during use. For example, Whirling Assault creates multiple damaging areas around you as you move. When minions are removed due to resources changing, such as weapon swapping, younger, newer minions are now prioritized for removal over older minions to avoid wasting minion cooldown abilities unnecessarily. Minions affected by Last Gasp support or Tkrod's Revenge lineage support and totems affected by the unnamed Heartwood Oracle notable passive skill can no longer die during the effect from taking further damage exceeding their maximum life. Stats worded as when you collect a remnant no longer give you the benefits of these stats when an ally shares the effects of a remnant with you. Updated the name of the buff that Trinity grants to Affinity, as Resonance is the name of a keystone passive skill.
Too.
This is purely a description update. Archon buffs are no longer inherently lost when you attack. This is now a property of Elemental Archon specifically.
Okay.
Return to top. New content and features. Introduced the new Martial Artist Ascendancy class for the monk. After decades of training, the Martial Artist has become a master of illusions. Empowered by the runes socketed into his body, this class creates powerful illusions, summons illusory bells to aid him, and excels at using his hands as weapons. Introduced the new Spirit Walker Ascendancy class for the Huntress. Bound to the Wilds, this class calls upon spirits to answer to her while granting different abilities aligning with the stag, owl or bear. Through their guidance, the Spirit Walker may subdue even the most formidable beasts, binding them in spirit, or call forth a spectral companion to fight beside her. New lineage support,
I'm not sure
Arbiter's
this is
Reach.
be a good thing.
New lineage support, Breach Lord's Amalgam. New lineage
Okay.
support, Catha's Brilliance.
Yeah, but it doesn't
New
say
lineage
what
support,
they do. That's
Leonor's
stupid.
Thunder.
Patch notes,
New
new
lineage
support. It
Escha's
doesn't do
Prowess.
anything. Thank you,
New
patch
lineage
notes.
support, Hellbrim's Hide. New lineage support, Her Declaration. New lineage support,
Yeah, okay. We
Medved's
have to
Felling.
guess what it does.
New lineage support, Morrigan's Insight.
Yeah.
New lineage support,
Or
Prototype
data mine.
17. New lineage support, Seraph's
Prototype
Heart.
17.
New lineage support,
That sounds like
SDYRN's
Doriani's
Ferocity.
thing.
New lineage support, SDYRN's Mountain. New
Still-
lineage support,
okay.
Tangmazu's Thursdayable. New lineage support, Trickster's Shard. New lineage support, Tull's
Okay.
Avalanche.
Okay.
New lineage support,
from the Bleed
Uhtred's
Bubble.
Constellation.
Yeah.
New lineage support, Uhtred's Right. New lineage support,
This from
Varena's
Expedition.
Siege.
Yeah.
New lineage support, Vruden's Inevitability. New lineage support, Vruden's Aftermath.
Yeah.
New unique item, Barak's Grip.
Yeah,
New
okay,
unique
but
item,
it doesn't
Barak's
say what
Pass.
they do.
New unique item, Barak's Respite. New unique item, Brutus Lead Sprinkler. New unique item, New unique item,
Keep.
Decree of Acuity. New
If it doesn't say what they do, who cares?
New idols that come exclusively from monsters possessed by A's Myrian spirits. Added the new Minion Splash and Minion Splash 2 strength support gems. These support skills which create minions which strike, causing those minion strikes to have melee splash.
The brutes.
The Fragment Stash tab is now available for use in Path of Exile 2.
Yeah, I already have it.
It can hold your fragments, including breach splinters, simulacrums, audience with the king, inscribed ultimatums, and burials, as well as tablets. If you previously purchased one in Path of Exile, it will automatically be made available to you once the 0.5.0 patch is deployed.
Yay!
For those without a Fragment Stash tab, you will be able to find this in the Stash tabs section of the microtransaction store after 0.5.0 goes live.
Or just buy it from the first game.
Community creators who write build guides can now create .build files for players to download. When selected in the game client, these will show you everything you need to know for that build, including passive skills to allocate, which ascendancy passive skills to take, skill gems to equip, as well as recommendations for support gems.
Yeah, great.
Added the ability to quickly search the trade market with an item you have. Shift-Alt clicking on an item will populate the filters for searching the trade market so you can see the current prices. For rare items, you can enable and disable each modifier to easily determine the effect each one has on an item's price.
Nice.
In party play, you can now quickly revive any fallen party members after defeating the boss. You can now skip dialogue sequences with NPCs by pressing escape.
And how
Added
do
a
we do this on
refreshing bench to
controller?
the entrance of the Trial of the Sea Chemas.
I guess circle.
Continued to incrementally improve the sound, art, effects and environments. Return to top. Ascendancy changes. Acolyte of Chahula.
Okay.
The Into the Breach skill granted by the Waking Dream notable passive skill now grant leech 20% of your maximum life to you when collecting a red flame of Chahula, previously 15%, and leech 20% of your maximum mana to you when collecting a blue flame of Chahula, previously 15%. The wording of the Into the Breach skill has also been updated to clarify behavior ranges related to flames of Chahula. Into the Breach now applies modifiers to remnant pickup range to the range at which flames of Chahula can be seen. This is purely a visual change. Blood Mage. The Vitality Siphon notable passive skill now grants 20% of spell damage leached as life, previously 10%. Chronomancer. The Rapid River notable passive skill has been removed, its position has been taken by Now and Again. The Now and Again notable passive skill has been reworked. It now grants cascadable spells have a 20% chance to echo, and repeatable spells have a 20% chance to repeat. The Unbound Encore notable passive skill has taken the previous position of Now and Again. The Ultimate Command notable passive skill now requires Unbound Encore. Added the new Phased Form notable passive skill, preceding footprints in the sand. Phased Form grants take 30% less damage, and 4 seconds after being damaged by an enemy hit, take damage equal to 30% of that hit's damage.
I never liked
the Temporal Rift skill granted by the Footprints in the Sand notable passive skill has been updated. It now has a cast time of 0.1 seconds, previously 0.5, and now also removes delayed damage from phased form. The Inevitable Agony skill granted by the Inevitability notable passive skill has been reworked. It is no longer a curse, and has a 2-second cooldown. The debuff is now a life loss effect instead of secondary hit damage, and the debuff amount is now displayed on static health bars. The debuff also now instantly culls enemies when total life loss reaches culling strike threshold. Now grants debuffed targets lose life equal to 25% of hit damage dealt to them while debuffed, previously 50%. Enemy curse effectiveness no longer applies to this skill, meaning unique enemies have the same effectiveness as previously, while other enemies have less. Debuff duration is now 12 seconds, previously 6 to 8.6 seconds. Quality now grants plus 0 to 0.5 meters to initial cast radius, previously curse zone erupts after 0 to 10% reduced delay. The skill has also received new visual effects. The Sands of Time buff granted by the Quicksand Hourglass notable passive skill now grants 1 to 60% increased skill speed, previously cast speed, and has new visual effects. Chilling Legionnaire. The Crystalline Potential notable passive skill has been removed. Added a new notable passive skill, Essence of Virtue. This grants the Virtuous Barrier skill which, while active, conjures a glittering barrier that accumulates protective gemstone motes of each attribute type over time, but loses a random mote when you are hit. The Advanced Thaumaturgy notable passive skill no longer grants the Thaumaturgical Dynamism skill. It instead now grants gem quality, grants socketed skills an additional effect.
Yep, that's pretty
All gems
strong.
in the game now have an additional quality stat that can be seen while holding Alt on the gem after picking this notable.
Like flicker strike,
Pathfinder.
not consuming
The
charges.
overwhelming toxicity notable passive skill now grants 50% less poison duration, previously 35%. The running assault notable passive skill now grants 30% less movement speed penalty from using skills while moving, previously 50%. Witch Hunter. Obsessive rituals now grants 50% less armor and evasion rating, previously 35% less. Return to top.
That's the
Passive tree
one.
changes. Added 19 new companion-themed passive skills to the passive tree. Added 9 new life recoup speed passive skills to the passive tree.
Okay, but life
Added
notes,
a new Archon
no
of
life
Undeath
notes.
cluster to the Witch/Sorceress area of the passive tree.
Yes, Undeath
The
cluster,
Ancestral Bond
Archon,
Keystone
yeah.
passive skill now causes placing totems to have no cost and not require consuming charges to place. It still causes totems to reserve 75 spirit each, and now doubles totem limit instead of removing it completely.
Okay, it was
The Trusted
100,
Kinship Keystone
so
passive skill now grants 30% more reservation efficiency of companion skills, and 20% less reservation efficiency of non-companion skills.
Ooh.
It no longer provides you have 30% less defenses, or companions have +1 to each defense for every 2 of that defense you have. The Volpact Keystone passive skill now grants 50% more amount of life leached, 67% less life leech speed, cannot recover life other than from leech, and life leech effects are not removed when unreserved life is filled. It no longer provides life leeches instant, or cannot use life flasks. The Reformed Barrier Cluster has been
without
removed.
The life nodes,
The Warding Fetish Cluster has moved locations, and no longer connects to a jewel socket. The Stormic Heart and Breaking Point Cluster no longer connects to a jewel socket.
What the fuck now?
The Adamant
Warding Fetish Cluster has moved locations and no longer connects to a jewel socket. That's pretty dumb. I don't know, I want to see this on the tree. Because it was really good for playing focus with this. Fuck, time loss jewel.
The Adamant Recovery notable passive skill has been replaced by Fortified Aegis, which grants 100% increased armor, evasion, and energy shield from equipped shield. The Arcane Mixtures notable passive skill now grants 10% increased cast speed if you have used a mana flask recently, instead of 25% increased energy shield recharge rate. The Bastion of the Forest notable passive skill now grants 10% faster start of energy shield recharge, previously 15%. The Casting Cascade notable passive skill now grants 6% increased cast speed for each different spell you've cast in the last 8 seconds, previously 4.
Yes, that's great.
The Chakra of Breathing notable passive skill now grants 20% faster start of energy shield recharge instead of 1% increased energy shield recharge rate per 4 dexterity. The Commanding Rage notable passive skill now grants 2% increased minion attack speed per 5 rage, previously 1% per rage. The Convalescence notable passive skill now grants 20% faster start of energy shield recharge, previously 40%, and 10% reduced energy shield recharge rate, previously 15%.
That's fine.
The Core of the Guardian notable passive skill now grants 30% increased block chance and 20% reduced maximum energy shield, previously 100% increased armor, evasion, and energy shield from equipped shield. The Covering Ward notable passive skill now grants gain 25 energy shield when you block, previously 20, and 12% increased block chance. It no longer grants 25% increased energy shield recharge rate. The Craving Slaughter notable passive skill now provides plus 15 maximum rage if you used a skill that requires glory in the past 20 seconds, previously plus 8 per skill that requires glory used in the past 6 seconds, up to 5 times. The Critical Overload notable passive skill now provides 15% increased critical spell damage bonus, previously 15% increased spell damage if you've dealt a critical hit recently. The Cunning Fox notable passive skill has been replaced with the Quick Fox, which grants 20% increased deflection rating while moving. The Small All attribute passives prior to the notable now grant 20% increased evasion rating while moving. The Deadly Force notable passive skill now provides 15% increased critical hit chance, previously 10%, and 15% increased damage if you've dealt a critical hit in the past 8 seconds, previously 25%. The Dependable Ward notable passive skill now grants plus 8% to chaos resistance, and 12% faster start of energy shield recharge, previously 25%. The Devoted Protector notable passive skill now grants 10% faster start of energy shield recharge, previously 15%. The
That's
Echoing
fine.
Pulse notable passive skill now grants echoed spells have 25% increased area of
That's
effect.
top right.
It no longer grants final repeat of spells has 30% increased area of effect, which did not function. The Effervescent notable passive skill now grants 4% increased cast speed for each different spell you've cast in the last 8 seconds, previously 4. The
Actually,
Energizing Archon
previously it
notable
was
passive
2.
skill now grants 30% increased Archon duration instead of 40% increased energy shield recharge rate while affected by an Archon buff. The Energizing Deflection notable passive skill now grants 12% faster start of energy shield recharge, instead of 30% increased energy shield recharge rate.
That's better, actually.
The Essence Infusion notable passive skill now grants 12% faster start of energy shield recharge, and plus 12 to intelligence, previously plus 10.
Wow.
It no longer grants 40% increased energy shield recharge rate.
The sorcerer
The Fast
gonna be really
Metabolism
strong this
notable
time
passive skill now
with
grants
the
40%
CI and
increased damage while leeching life.
ward.
Previously life leech effects are not removed when unreserved life is filled. The Fortifying Blood notable passive skill now grants 15% increased amount of life leeched, previously 20%. The Goring notable passive skill no longer grants 40%
so you can
increased
actually
physical
get
damage. It now grants 3% increased maximum life and 20% increased amount of life leeched, previously 3% reduced maximum life and 30% increased amount of life leeched.
Okay.
The Immortal Infamy notable passive skill now grants 6% increased life recovery rate instead of 10% increased energy shield recharge rate. The Lifelong Friend and Nurturing Guardian notable passive skills have swapped positions. The Mystic Stance notable passive skill now grants 12% faster start of energy shield recharge, previously 30%.
That's still fine.
The Patient Barrier notable passive skill now grants 50% increased maximum energy shield, previously 60%.
That's
The
fine.
Quick Response notable passive skill now grants 10% faster start of energy shield recharge, previously 20%, and 20% faster start of energy shield recharge when not on full life, previously 30%.
That's fine,
The Rapid
because
Recharge
now
notable
you have
passive
to
skill
be
now
forced to
grants
get it on the
12% faster
gear.
start of energy shield
With
recharge
a
and
reason.
12% increased energy shield
Fine.
recharge rate, both previously 25%.
Makes sense.
The Refocus notable passive skill now grants 20% increased mana
They
regeneration
wanna
rate
nerf
while
the fixed
stationary
bonuses
instead of 30% increased energy shield recharge rate.
Against the
The Shattered
obtainable
Palm
ones.
notable
That's pretty
passive
good
skill
that they
now
do
provides
this.
20% increased critical damage bonus, previously 10% chance to daze. The Shimmering
okay,
notable
that's
passive skill
better.
now grants 10% faster start of energy shield recharge, and 20% increased evasion if you have been hit recently. It no longer grants 20% increased energy shield recovery rate if you haven't been hit recently. The Staggering Palm notable passive skill now
didn't make
provides
sense anyway.
25% increased physical damage, previously 20%, and now provides 10% chance to daze instead of 20% increased critical damage bonus. The Stormic Heart notable passive skill now provides damage penetrates 8% of enemy elemental resistances and 5% increased attack and cast speed with elemental skills. It no longer provides 15% increased critical hit chance or 40% increased elemental damage if you've dealt a critical hit recently. The Tempered Mind notable passive skill now provides 15% increased effect of fully broken armor, previously 20% increased critical damage bonus. The Voracious notable passive skill no longer grants 20% of life leeches instant, it now grants 15% increased attack speed while leeching. The White Barrier notable passive skill now grants 30% increased block chance and 20% reduced armor, previously 25% reduced defenses. The Wyvern's Breath notable passive skill has been updated and now provides 40% increased elemental ailment application if you have shapeshifted to an animal form recently. This now also applies to freeze buildup, but it is otherwise identical. The first two small spell damage passive skills at the starting area of the passive tree for the Witch and Sorceress now provide 10% increased spell damage, previously 8%.
I never take
Small passive skills that grant faster start of energy shield recharge now have values of 6%, previously 15%.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Small passive skills that granted energy shield recharge rate have been removed from the passive skill tree and replaced by faster start of energy shield recharge at a lower value.
Okay.
Small passive skills granting 10% increased amount of life leeched now have values of 8%. The Small Banner Area of Effect passive skills now provide 12% increased banner area of effect, previously 15%.
Okay.
The Small Banner Area Tactician passive skill now provides 16% increased banner area of effect, previously 20%. The Unsavored Feast Timeless Jewel notable no longer grants 20% instant leech if you have at least 200 tribute. It now grants leech life 35% faster if you have at least 100 tribute, previously 25%.
Very hard
Return
to manage
top.
mana on Tactician.
Skill changes. Skills with a fixed number of projectiles, such as Glacial Lance, can now benefit from effects that cause projectile count modifiers to apply to something else instead, such as Ricochet 3 support. Skills which have a cost of 0 mana now display this cost.
Okay.
This allows players to distinguish between skills like default attacks which do not have a cost at all, and are thus unaffected by any end cost modifiers, from those which do have a base cost, but with 0 base value, which are affected by all end cost modifiers, even if they add different resource costs, like adding life cost to a skill with base mana cost 0.
Okay, that
Crossbow
makes sense.
ammunition skills now have a base cost of 0 rather than having their cost completely disabled, meaning that effects that add additional costs will now apply to them. Ignites inflicted on targets by oil ground that has been ignited can no longer compound, and cannot be compounded with by other ignites from the same skill use. All command skills now have a 50%
grenade.
movement speed penalty during skill use, previously 70%. Align Fate, granted by the Oracle's Fateful Vision notable passive now has modifiers to cooldown recovery rate also apply to visage appearance frequency.
Okay.
Ancestral Warrior Totem, no longer has a hidden 0.6 second delay between skill uses. Instead, this delay is now 50% of the skill's attack time and is described accordingly on the skill. Bone Storm, no longer has the sustained tag.
That's
Bone
actually
Shatter,
pretty
quality
bad.
now.
This is really bad. They just literally they destroyed Bone Storm now. You know why? Because this gives it different critical chance for each bone fragment of the Bone Storm. So they now have like what? The same? I don't know. That's not good. That's not good because it wouldn't count like hit. Every separate thing wouldn't count as a hit, and the custom criticals are gonna be fucked up now with this skill. This was that's pretty bad change for Bone Storm, for triggering stuff specifically. Otherwise, well, damage gonna be better now, but it won't trigger stuff now. That sucks a bit.
Bone Shatter, quality now grants 0 to 20% increased attack speed, previously 0 to 30% increased attack speed.
Okay.
Comet, now deals 212 to 318 cold damage at gem level 11, previously 223 to 335,
Comet needs
scaling
to go
up to
away.
787 to 1181
Comets per
damage
second
at
should
gem
not
level 20,
exist.
previously 829 to
Yeah, okay,
1243.
Nerf
Fire
it all you
Infusing
like.
Comet now deals 220 to 318
If
fire
it's
and
raining
cold damage at
comets
gem
per
level 11,
second,
previously
doesn't really matter,
279 to
but
418, scaling to 787 to 1181 fire and cold damage at gem level 20, previously 1036 to 1554.
well, okay.
Call the Weak, now has can't be evaded. Now deals 109 to 281% of attack damage at gem levels 3 to 20,
It doesn't
previously
matter what
60%
damage is dealing. Use it to go
156%.
get the charge.
Attack speed is now 75% of base, previously 60%,
Which is good, actually.
and it now has a mana cost of 8 to 42 at gem levels 3 to 20, previously 9 to 46. The maximum dash range has been increased by 15%.
Yeah, but I mean, you drop
Defiance
this
Banner,
skill in
Dread
like
Banner,
Act
and
3
War
or
Banner
something.
no
Act
longer
2
have a
even.
movement speed penalty during use.
The fuck?
Now have a banner or a base radius of 6 meters, previously 4.5. Earthquake,
Okay.
Aftershock now deals 184 to 666% of attack damage at gem levels 1 to 20, previously
Nice.
160 to 580%.
This is because of the new
Eternal
unique.
Rage
You can
no longer
spam
be activated in
with the
specific weapon
Brutus
sets.
unique. This earthquake.
It is now required to be active in both weapon sets, and will fail to activate if this is not possible. Feral Invocation no longer bypasses the cooldown of socketed skills. Flame Breath now has an energy gain penalty similar to Incinerate. Fortifying
Makes
Cry
sense.
now only consumes 1
Otherwise
stack
it'd
when you
be like
detonate a
flying
shield
all
wall to
over the
create a
map.
shockwave around each shield wall segment. Fortifying Cry shockwaves from a single shield wall cannot hit the same enemy multiple times.
Yeah,
Shield Wave now
bye-bye,
deals 5 to
shield.
7 added physical damage per
But
15 armor on shield, previously 6 to 8. Fragmentation rounds.
Bye-bye,
Quality
warrior
now grants
build.
plus 0 to 2 fragments per shot, previously 0 to 20% more physical damage.
Okay.
Freezing Salvo now has 34 to 68% more magnitude of chill inflicted and more freeze buildup at gem levels 3 to 20, previously 56 to 107%. Gathering Storm now causes perfectly timed dash to explode any Tempest Bell on hit, creating a massive shockwave that deals 564 to 869% attack damage at gem levels 13 to 20.
Basically.
Shocked ground is left in the wake of the Tempest shockwave, previously on perfect dash, with a radius of 3.2 meters, turning precise timing into a devastating area clearing combo. Perfect timing shockwaves can now only hit enemies once per skill use, and no longer interact with objects created by non-Tempest Bell skills. Shockwave limit is now 50. Quality now grants 0 to 20% longer perfect timing window,
like a buff,
previously plus 0 to 8 maximum shockwaves per use.
Okay.
Ghost Dance, the interval between gaining Ghost Shrouds is no longer a duration. It now has modifiers to cooldown recovery rate also apply to Ghost Shroud gain frequency.
Okay.
It also now has when hit, lose a Ghost Shroud, and regenerate energy shield equal to 2% of your evasion rating per second if you have lost a Ghost Shroud recently.
Okay.
Now gains a Ghost Shroud every 11.7 to 10.1 seconds at gem levels 4 to 20, previously 7.6 to 6.1. Grim Feast, Grim Resurrection now has a 1 second cooldown.
Okay, that's
Ice
good.
Shot, Ice Shards no longer have 25% more freeze buildup.
That's stupid.
Ice Strike, quality now grants 0 to 20% increased attack speed, previously 0 to 10% more attack speed. Lightning Arrow,
Ice Shots
multiple lightning beams
strong,
are no longer be able to chain onto the same target.
But you
Lunar
have to
Blessing,
focus on more
triggered
build-up or just
moonbeams
more
are no
damage
longer
to make
considered
up for
melee
the build-up
skills.
loss.
Magma Barrier, now deals 5 to 7 added fire damage per 15 armor and evasion on shield, previously 6 to 8.
This was very important. Lightning Arrow is now gonna be just a campaign skill. Bye bye, Lightning Arrow. Multiple lightning beams are no longer be able to chain onto the same target. It's no longer viable or bossing later. Just early game. Maybe we can use well, what was the Orb of Storms instead?
Magma Barrier,
to chain.
now deals 5
Orb
to
of
7
Storms
added
with
fire
chain
damage
makes
per
sense
15
now.
armor and evasion on shield, previously 6 to 8. Mirage Archer and Mirage Deadeye, can now be used with channeled skills, including Snipe, Plasma Blast, and Detonating Arrow.
Okay, this was
Mirror
not
of
possible
Refraction,
before. That's
granted
good.
by the Itzirai's
'Cause
rule
otherwise
unique
it was
staff
pretty
now has
stupid,
modifiers to cooldown
if you ask
recovery
me.
rate also apply to mirror appearance frequency. Oil Barrage,
Okay.
mana cost has been reduced by 18%. Empowered
Makes
Oil Barrage
sense,
now has a mana
'cause,
cost per second equivalent to the initial
tactician.
mana cost of Oil Barrage. Oil
Mercenary
Barrage
has
now
mana
deals
problems,
10%
so
more
that's
damage
good.
at all levels, while Empowered Oil Barrage now deals 10% less damage at all levels. Empowered Oil Barrage now consumes a power charge every 1.5 seconds to continue channeling, previously every 2 seconds.
Okay.
Area of effect has been changed to more closely match its animation. No longer has bonus attack distance.
Okay.
Poison Burst Arrow, poison duration is now 3 seconds at all gem levels,
Not great for
previously
bossing
3 to
party anymore.
4.9 seconds at gem levels 1 to 20. Quality now grants 0 to 10% more magnitude of poison inflicted, previously 0 to 20%. Pounce, now has a cooldown of 6 to 5.1 seconds at gem levels 3 to 20, previously 4.9 to 4 seconds at gem levels 3 to 20. Ravenous Swarm, now has modifiers to cooldown recovery rate also apply to swarm spawning frequency. Rend, fixed a bug where lightning charged Rend was scaling twice with levels, the base damage has been increased to compensate. Lightning charged Rend now deals 130 to 405% attack damage at levels 1 to 20, previously 120 to 586%.
It sounds like the opposite
Resonating
of what the
Shield,
note says.
now deals 5 to 7 added physical damage per 15 armor on shield, previously 6 to 8. Rolling Magma,
Fine.
now chains 3 times at gem level 1, previously 2, scaling up to chain 5 times at gem level 20, previously 4.
Okay, that's
Rolling
something.
Slam, now has plus 1 second to total attack time, previously plus 1.5 seconds.
Okay.
The first slam
better.
now deals 75 to 272% of attack damage at gem levels 1 to 20, previously 90 to 367%, and the second slam now deals 150 to 543% of attack damage at gem levels 1 to 20,
strong.
previously 180 to
But it had to be
735%.
strong.
Shattering
Warrior
Spite,
squish.
granted by the Itzirai's Contempt unique spear, now has 50% less magnitude of damaging ailments you inflict. No longer has life leech from explosions with at least 15 bloodstone lances is instant.
Okay.
Shield Wall, now deals 5 to 7 added physical damage per 15 armor on shield, previously 6 to 8.
Yeah, it
Shred,
was very strong
quality now
anyway.
grants 0 to 20% increased
With the
attack
price.
speed, previously 0 to 10% more attack speed. Snipe, now deals 121 to 312% of attack damage at gem levels 3 to 20,
This was
previously
expected.
133 to 343%. An explosion now deals 484 to 1449% of attack damage at gem levels 3 to 20, previously 454 to 1358%. Icy Blast now deals 764 to 3067% of attack damage at gem levels 3 to 20, previously 913 to 3062%, and
That's
now
fine.
has 33 to
Then it's
50%
fine.
more damage
This
with
is the
hits for
thing that
explosions
deals
originating
damage.
from a unique enemy at gem levels 3 to 20, previously always 50%.
Yeah.
Icy Blast explosion radius is now 3 meters, previously 3.2.
So actually Snipe
Spell
is still
Totem
fine.
can now be used while moving,
wait.
and has received an...
The only problem of Snipe, like to trigger this thing that deals the most damage, this thing, is the enemy has to be frozen. And the problem is that now the ice shot sprinkle effect doesn't have the extra freeze buildup. That's not so great, but still very viable build.
Spell Totem can now be used while moving, and has received an updated animation.
Okay, nice.
Supercharged Slam now more clearly states that it has a fixed attack time that cannot be modified. This is purely a description change.
Yeah.
Tame Beast. Summoned beasts now deal 40% more damage at gem level 9, scaling up to 84% at gem level 20. Now immediately summons newly tamed beasts if you have enough spirit. Tempest Bell can now be ancestrally boosted as though it were a strike skill, and its maximum number of active bells has been increased to 3, previously 1, greatly improving its combo potential. Its shockwave now deals 45 to 119% of attack damage at gem levels 3 to 20, previously 60 to 132%, and can trigger once every 0.3 seconds instead of 0.25 seconds. Toxic Growth now fires 5 pustules, previously 4, with a limit of 5 pustules, previously 12. Quality now grants fires plus 0 to 1 pustule and limit plus 0 to 1 pustule, previously plus 0 to 2 and plus 0 to 2. Thrashing Vines, updated description to clarify how frequently it spawns vines. This is not a functional change. Time of Need, the interval between blessings is no longer a duration. It now has modifiers to cooldown recovery rate also apply to blessing frequency, and the interval has been reduced to 9.3 to 8.1 seconds at gem levels 8 to 20, previously 11.3 to 10.1.
It's actually pretty hard to play
now has a
without
base critical hit chance of 8%, previously 5%.
After level 90
Whirling
and the
Assault,
stuff
quality now
this,
grants 0 to 20% increased attack
pretty much
speed,
dead.
previously 0 to 15% more attack speed. Wing Blast, Shockwave now deals 25% more damage at all levels. Return to top. Support changes. Unleash, Expand, Salvo, and Freezing Salvo supports all now use the same concept of seals, instead of each having their own version. This means standardized rules for seals that will be consistent for all cases, resulting in some behavior changes. Supports granting seals now consistently all have the seal category. Freezing Salvo and Salvo support previously had an extra restriction that the relevant skill could not gain seals while you were performing that skill. This is no longer the case, bringing them into consistency with the other seal mechanics. Salvo support previously gave a seal every 2 seconds, up to a maximum of 3, and provided 2 projectiles per seal. It now gains a seal every 1 second, up to a maximum of 6, providing 1 projectile per seal. Advancing Storm can now support any storm skill under any conditions, rather than only spells you use yourself. Argent's Metal now grants 25% chance to load a bolt into all crossbow skills on dealing a killing blow with supported skills, previously 100%. But Sirai's Impatience can no longer support persistent skills. Bater's Vengeance, when you freeze a target with supported skills, for each 2 rage you have, you and allies in your presence gain 1% of damage as cold damage for 15 seconds, previously for each 1 rage you have, for 20 seconds. Brink Eye can now be cut as a level 1 support gem, previously level 2. Culmination 2 no longer has combo count loss for supported skills occurs 50% slower. It now has supported skills lose combo if you generate no combo for 6 seconds, previously 4 seconds. Supported skills can now gain up to 10 combo, previously 20, and supported skills now deal 4% more damage per combo, previously 2%. Corrupting Cry I, Corrupting Cry 2, no longer causes the supported skill to inflict corrupted blood, but instead it triggers a skill which inflicts corrupted blood, scaled by the level of the gem it is socketed into. Decaying Hex, no longer causes the supported curse to inflict decay, instead it triggers a skill which inflicts decay, scaled by the level of the gem it is socketed into. Diala's Desire, now grants plus 5% to quality of supported skills, previously plus 10%.
Wow! Okay, this is actually very good. No longer causes the supported curse to inflict decay, instead it triggers a skill which inflicts decay. Okay, yeah, that's great. I mean, less curse spam, right? That sounds awesome.
Diala's Desire, now grants plus 5% to quality of supported skills, previously plus 10%. Dodra's Undoing, no longer causes cursed ground created by supported skills to become hazards. Now causes cursed ground created by supported skills to spawn witch toads on an interval which seek out enemies and explode, dealing chaos damage. Infernal Legion I, now grants minions from supported skills take 10% of their maximum life as fire damage per second, previously 20%, and minions from supported skills ignite enemies within a radius of 1.5 meters as though dealing base fire damage equal to 10% of minions' maximum life, previously 20%.
Makes sense. That was not so strong.
Infernal Legion 2, now grants minions from supported skills take 10% of their maximum life as fire damage per second, previously 20, and minions from supported skills ignite enemies within a radius of 2 meters as though dealing base fire damage equal to 10% of minions' maximum life, previously 20%.
Okay.
Now additionally grants minions from supported skills have plus 20% to fire resistance. Infernal Legion 3 can no longer be obtained. Living Lightning no longer replaces minions when summoning a new one while already at maximum number of minions. Morgana's Tempest can now support any storm skill under any conditions, rather than only spells you use yourself.
Okay.
Overabundance 3 now properly describes that it cannot support persistent skills. Overextend can no longer be obtained, existing items are unaffected by this change. Pacate's Pact no longer causes the supported skill to inflict corrupted blood, but instead it triggers a skill which inflicts corrupted blood, scaled by the level of the gem it is socketed into. No longer has lose 2% of maximum life per corrupted blood inflicted by supported skills. Instead, it now has supported skills cost 10% of maximum life for each time they've been used recently, up to a maximum of 30%.
Okay,
Rage
that's different, because it's cost not lost. You can't kill yourself with it.
Skills.
That's different.
Rada's Assault now grants supported skills load 4 bolts when you dodge,
It
previously
can
5,
support minions,
and supported skills load 3 additional bolts, previously 4. It now also grants supported skills have 10% increased attack speed, previously 20%.
Oof,
Refraction Eye now additionally causes supported banner skills to grant allies deflection rating equal to 15% of their evasion rating.
Useless,
Refraction 2 now additionally causes supported banner skills to grant allies deflection rating equal to 20% of their evasion rating.
Okay, bye.
Shock Conduction 2 can no longer be obtained.
Just
Static
one?
Shocks, updated description to clarify that it triggers from shocking hits.
Okay.
Uhtred's Augury now grants plus 2 to level of supported skills if exactly 2 other supports are modifying them, previously plus 3. Uhtred's Omen now grants plus 2 to level of supported skills if exactly 1 other support is modifying them, previously
okay,
plus 3.
Fine.
Volt now grants supported skills gain 2 voltaic charge per meter traveled, previously 3. Supported skills now also gain 1% of damage as extra lightning damage per voltaic charge consumed, previously 5% per 10 voltaic charge. Return to top. Unique item changes. The Abiterno unique boots no longer grant 10% less movement and skill speed per dodge roll in the past 20 seconds, and now have 200 to 250% increased armor, evasion, and energy shield, previously 100 to 150%. It now has your speed is unaffected by slows while sprinting, and gain over encumbrance for 4 seconds when you dodge roll. Existing versions of this unique can be updated to the new armor, evasion, and energy shield values using a divine orb, but will not receive any other changes. The Apex Supremacy unique focus no longer has 30 to 50% faster start of energy shield recharge.
What does it do?
The Ashdiris Acuity unique gloves have been reworked. They now grant 150 to 200% increased armor, plus 100 to 150 to maximum life, leech 10% of physical attack damage as life, and 10% of physical damage dealt by your hits causes blood loss in Vol Pact.
I'll be around to listen to everything.
They also grant the Herald of the Royal Queen skill.
Then I'm gonna go to...
Vol Cultivation Orb outcomes on its Series Acuity have also changed. Existing items are not affected by this change. The Sierran Inheritance Unique Body Armor now grants 15 to 30% increased energy shield recharge rate instead of 30 to 50% faster start of energy shield recharge.
Fine. Stupid
the Black Flame Unique Ring no longer has enemies ignited by you take chaos damage instead of fire damage from Ignite.
What does
it now has
now?
Withered you inflict also increases fire damage taken. Ignite you inflict deals chaos damage instead of fire damage, and Withered does not expire on enemies ignited by you. Additionally, it now has 80 to 100% increased Ignite magnitude, previously 50%, and 60 to 75% reduced Ignite duration on enemies, previously 50%.
Anyway.
Ignite magnitude and duration modifiers can be updated to the new values using a Divine Orb.
And
other modifiers will remain unchanged. The Blistering Bond Unique Ring now has fire damage also contributes to bleeding magnitude, and bleeding you inflict deals fire damage instead of physical damage, in addition to its other modifiers. Existing items are not affected by this change. The Brass Dome Unique Body Armor now has 500 to 600% increased armor, previously 700 to 800%. Existing versions of this unique can be made worse with a Divine Orb.
Yeah, imagine someone
the Carnage Heart Unique Amulet now has 25 to 50% increased damage while leeching. Existing items are unaffected by this change. The Chober Chaber Unique Mace now has +2 to 3 to level of all minion skills. Existing items are not affected by this change.
It was 1 to 3,
unique
now
bow
it's
no longer
2
has
to
bow
3.
attacks fire 3 additional arrows. Instead it now has +250 to 330% surpassing chance to fire an additional arrow.
Yay!
The Elevore Unique Helmet now grants charms gain 1 charge per second, previously 0.5, and now provides +1 to 2 charm slots, previously +1. Existing items can be buffed using a Divine Orb. The Eshtara's Path Unique Ring no longer has cold resistance is unaffected by area penalties. It now has +5 to 10% to fire and cold resistance per equipped item with a lightning resistance modifier. Existing items are not affected by this change. The Glowswarm Unique Ring now has using a mana flask grants guard equal to 100% of the flask's recovery amount for 4 seconds. Existing items are not affected by this change. The Hollow Mask Unique Helmet now grants the Wildwoods Gifts skill, where Asmerian spirits offer guidance, allowing you to see nearby ancient blooms. It also now has remnants you create affect allies in your presence as well as you when collected, and 80 to 100% increased reservation efficiency of remnant skills. The Husk of Dreams Unique Body Armor has been renamed to Reverie. It no longer has 20 to 30% increased flash charges gained, or 50% less flask charges used. It now grants the Rite of Restoration skill, and has non-unique life flasks apply their effects constantly. It also now has cannot use life flasks. Recovery from life flasks cannot be instant. Recovery from life flasks cannot be applied to anything other than you, as well as 40 to 60% less life flask recovery. Existing versions of this item cannot obtain these new modifiers. The Hyres Ire Unique Body Armor now has 100 to 150% increased evasion rating, previously 200 to 250%, and gain 10 to 20% of damage as extra cold damage, previously 15 to 25%. Existing versions of this unique can be made worse with a Divine Orb. The Keeper of the Ark Unique Helmet now has 240 to 340% increased armor and energy shield, previously 150 to 250%. Existing items can be updated to the new values using a Divine Orb. The Levinstone Unique Ring no longer has +1 to level of all lightning skills. It now has lightning skills chain +1 times. The Megalomaniac Unique Jewel now drops identified. The Plague Finger Unique Gloves now have cannot inflict elemental ailments. The Prized Pain Unique Ring no longer has deal your thorns damage to enemies you stun with melee attacks. It now has 15 to 25% chance to deal your thorns damage to enemies you hit with melee attacks. Existing items are not affected by this change. The Radiant Grief Unique Helmet now has enemies in your presence are ignited as though dealt 200 base fire damage, previously 100. Existing items can be updated to the new value with a Divine Orb. The Saffron's Resolve Unique Ring no longer has lightning resistance is unaffected by area penalties. It now has +5 to 10% to cold and lightning resistance per equipped item with a fire resistance modifier.
That's fine, like
Existing items are not affected by this change. The Seed of Cataclysm Unique Ring no longer has 30 to 50% increased critical spell damage bonus. It now has 5% reduced critical spell damage bonus per critical hit you've dealt with spells recently, and 15 to 30% chance for spell damage with critical hits to be lucky. Existing items are not affected by this change.
Actually.
The Seekema's Resolve unique rings have been renamed to Saffron's Resolve, Zaida's Longevity, and Eshtera's Path.
Okay,
The Sign Equal unique gloves now have 150 to 200% increased armor, evasion, and energy shield, previously 100 to 150%. It no longer has enemies immobilized by you take 20% more damage, and instead now has 30 to 50% increased damage against immobilized enemies.
But
the
you
Soul
can't
Mantle
stun them
unique
with
body
this,
armor
or
no
what
longer
was the
has 20 to
negative
30%
side?
reduced
Something like
totem life, it instead now has plus 75 to spirit.
Nope.
Existing versions of this item are not affected by this change.
Okay.
The Spalin unique shields cast on block skill now has supported skills cost nothing. It also now has plus 50 to 100 runic ward. Existing items are not affected by this change.
Okay.
The Zaida's Longevity unique ring no longer has lightning resistance, is unaffected by area penalties.
Yeah,
it now has plus 5 to 10% to fire and lightning resistance per equipped item with a cold resistance modifier.
There was a way in PoE 1 like to combine the three rings to get
Genesis
another
unique
unique
belt
or
no
something.
longer has 10 to 30% increased charm charges used. It now has 50% of charges consumed by used life flasks are granted to your charms. Skills from corrupted gems have 15 to 25% increased cost efficiency during any flask effect, and 25 to 50% increased corrupted charms effect duration, in addition to its other modifiers.
Okay.
Return to top. Item changes. Greater and perfect currencies have been made somewhat rarer, with transmutation and augmentation being made significantly rarer. Greater orbs of transmutation and greater orbs of augmentation now have a minimum modifier level of 44, previously 55, making them more accessible.
Okay.
They can now begin dropping in Act 4. Divine orbs are now more common. The corruption outcome that randomizes the numeric values of the modifiers on an item beyond the normal range now multiplies each modifier based on the current value, instead of randomizing the value. Sanctifying an item now multiplies each modifier value based on the current value, instead of randomizing values.
That's stupid, bro.
Can no longer be obtained.
You know why this is stupid? Because you can previously, like for example, craft some effect that you want and turn it negative to achieve something, to unlock something. That's stupid. I mean, what the fuck did they do with this patch? I don't know. They removed really good things, probably for a good reason, but I just don't see it now. Wouldn't wanna comment much. I would sound stupid without more research.
Omen of Corruption can no longer be obtained. Martial weapons and flasks found in the campaign are now more likely to be of the highest base type available at that level.
Honestly.
The overall number of essences found in the campaign has been increased, though the proportion of these being essences of the infinite has been significantly decreased.
Of course.
This will lead to finding more useful essences as you progress.
Yeah.
The amount of armor granted by items and modifiers has been increased as you get to higher levels. At level 65, you should have approximately 33% more armor, tapering down to 15% at level 80 plus. The amount of evasion granted by items and modifiers has been increased as you get to higher levels. At level 65, you should have approximately 33% more evasion, tapering down to 15% at level 80 plus.
Okay.
The amount of energy shield granted by items is now roughly 8% more at level 65, and unchanged at level 80 plus.
So, do you see the problem? They buffed the strongest defense, while they buffed this one, right? It's not that important, because if they hit you with evasion, you could die. If they hit you with life, which is damage that's not physical, you can still die. And slums are still gonna be dangerous if you play armor evasion or armor evasion combined. While this, for just being more, can tank it, but the builds which use it don't do that much damage usually, so that's maybe fine, like, cause if it's equally balanced it will be bad, because builds and classes and ascendancies, they're gonna lose identity, you know, and that's totally fine, but tip the scales better. I don't necessarily approve of this, because the problem's still gonna be the same.
The amount of energy shield granted by items is now roughly 8% more at level 65, and unchanged at level 80 plus.
Yeah, okay.
The Vile Robe armor base type now has 171 base energy shield,
Yeah, that was
previously
expected.
184.
So
the
the
base armor of
Sacramento
existing
robe
items
gonna
will
be
be
the best now.
automatically adjusted, while armor modifiers on existing items can be updated with a Divine Orb. Increased the base weapon range of some martial weapon base types. One-hand maces now have a base weapon range of 1.3, previously 1.1, 1.5 for two-hand maces, previously 1.3, and 1.4 for quarter staves, previously 1.3.
The next change is
the
crazy.
Obliterator bow and artillery bow base types now have 1.1 attacks per second,
It may
previously
sound funny,
1.15.
but
The
it's
implicit
huge.
modifier for Warden and Guardian bows
speed.
now provides 25 to 35% chance to chain an additional time,
Okay,
previously
these
20 to 30%.
Don't care.
Existing items can be updated with a Divine Orb. The implicit modifier for Rabid, Fury and Magi talismans now provides plus 7 to 10 maximum rage, previously plus 8 to 12. Existing items can be updated with a Divine Orb.
Yeah.
The implicit modifier for Volt Fang and Thunder talismans now provides 20 to 30% increased magnitude of shock you inflict, previously 15 to 25%. Existing items can be updated with a Divine Orb. Alternate quality items, from Breach Catalysts, may now be salvaged to return a portion of the catalysts used.
Nice.
The plus to level of all melee skills modifiers on two-handed attack weapons now has a value of plus 5 at tier 1, previously plus 7. The lower tiers have also been adjusted. The plus to level of all projectile skills modifiers on two-handed attack weapons now has a value of plus 5 at tier 1, previously plus 7. The lower tiers have also been adjusted. The plus to level of all melee skills modifiers on one-handed attack weapons now has a value of plus 4 at tier 1, previously plus 5. The lower tiers have also been adjusted. The plus to level of all projectile skills modifiers on one-handed attack weapons now has a value of plus 4 at tier 1, previously plus 5. The lower tiers have also been adjusted. The plus 2 to level of projectile skills modifier on quivers now has a value of plus 1. The plus to level all gems on attack weapons can now only roll above level 18. Added surpassing chance to fire an additional arrow modifiers for quivers. The Perfect Essence of Battle now provides plus 3 to level of all attack skills on two-hand melee weapons or crossbows, previously plus 5, and plus 2 to level of all attack skills on one-handed melee weapons or bows, previously plus 3. Essence of Hysteria now grants 20 to 23% increased energy shield recharge rate when applied to foci, previously 41 to 45%. Body runes now grant plus 30/45/60 maximum life when socketed in armor items, previously plus 20/30/40, plus 30/40/50 maximum energy shield when socketed in staves and wands, previously plus 25/30/35, and grants leech 3/4/5% of physical damage as life when socketed in martial weapons, previously 2/2.5/3%. Mind runes now grant plus 20/30/40 maximum mana when socketed in armor items, previously plus 15/25/35. Plus 45/60/75 maximum mana when socketed in staves and wands, previously plus 30/40/50, and grants leech 2/3/4% of physical damage as mana, previously 1.5/2/2.5%. Rebirth runes now grant gain 15/25/35 life per enemy killed when socketed in a martial weapon, previously October 20th, 30. And now grants regenerate 0.35/0.4/0.45% of maximum life per second when socketed in armor items, previously 0.25/0.3/0.35%. Inspiration runes now grant gain October 20th, 30 mana per enemy killed when socketed in a martial weapon, previously August 16th, 24, and grants 20/25/30% increased mana regeneration rate when socketed in staves and wands, previously 16/20/24%. Stone runes now cause 20/30/40% increased stun buildup when socketed in a martial weapon, previously 20/25/30%, and grants plus 50/75/100 to stun threshold when socketed in armor items, previously plus 40/60/80. Vision runes now grant plus 60/90/120 to accuracy rating when socketed in a martial weapon, previously plus 50/80/110, and 8/12/16% increased life and mana flask recovery when socketed in armor items, previously 8/10/12%. Desert runes now grant plus 10/14/18% to fire resistance when socketed in armor items, Previously plus 10/12/14%.
Whatever.
The bonded modifier on martial weapons, wands, and staves now grants 30% increased ignite magnitude. Previously 25%.
No, it just
Glacial
put
runes
damage
now
on
grant
it.
plus
That's-
10/14/18% to cold resistance when socketed in armor items.
No.
Previously plus 10/12/14%.
Okay,
Storm
that's
runes
better.
now grant
Fine.
plus 10/14/18% to lightning resistance when socketed in armor items.
Same.
Previously plus 10/12/14%. Robust runes now grant plus 6/9/12 to strength when socketed in equipment. Previously plus 6/8/10.
Better.
Adept runes now grant plus 6/9/12 to dexterity when socketed in equipment. Previously plus 6/8/10. Resolve runes now grant plus 6/9/12 to intelligence when socketed in equipment. Previously plus 6/8/10. Standard rune bonded modifiers now grant 20 life and 20 mana when socketed in armor items. Previously 10 life and 10 mana. Lesser rebirth runes now grant 4% increased energy shield recharge rate when socketed in a wand or staff. Previously 12%. This change applies to existing items. Rebirth runes now grant 6% increased energy shield recharge rate when socketed in a wand or staff. Previously 15%. This change applies to existing items. Greater rebirth runes now grant 8% increased energy shield recharge rate when socketed in a wand or staff. Previously 18%. This change applies to existing items. Crayocean's Rune of Recovery now grants 30% increased energy shield recharge rate when socketed in a body armor. Previously 50%. Existing items are affected by this change.
Not for this.
Lady Hestra's Rune of Winter no longer grants adds 19 to 28 cold damage. It instead grants adds 19 to 28 cold damage against chilled or frozen enemies. Thane Leld's Rune of Spring no longer grants adds 1 to 60 lightning damage.
Okay.
It instead grants adds 1 to 60 lightning damage against shocked enemies.
So nobody
Thane
can use
MYRK's
that.
Rune of
Oh,
Summer
where's
no
the other
longer
one?
grants
The
adds 23
iron
to
room.
34 fire damage. It instead grants adds 23 to 34 fire damage against.
Okay, wait. No change. Fine, move on.
Thane MYRK's Rune of Summer no longer grants adds 23 to 34 fire damage. It instead grants adds 23 to 34 fire damage against ignited enemies. All idols can now also be socketed into scepters. Idol of Egrin now grants 20% increased curse duration when socketed into a scepter.
Oh,
Idol of Ishta now grants 15% increased cost efficiency when socketed into a helmet. Previously 12%.
Okay.
It now grants 30% increased mana recovery rate while your companion is in your presence when socketed into a scepter.
Oh,
Idol of
bro.
Thrall now is socketed into boots. It now grants 50% increased total power counted by war cries. Previously 20%. Now grants 15% increased damage for each different companion in your presence when socketed into a scepter. The bonded modifier now grants 30% increased glory generation. Previously 20%. Idol of Maxarius now grants 0.2 flask charges per second when socketed into a scepter. Idol of Raylake now grants 40% increased armor, evasion, and energy shield while your companion is in your presence when socketed into a scepter. Idol of Sirius now grants allies in your presence have 8% increased movement speed when socketed into a scepter. The bonded modifier now grants 20% reduced slow potency, previously 15%. Idol of Thraldana now grants allies in your presence deal 13 to 27 added attack chaos damage when socketed into a scepter. Bear Idol now grants 10% increased area of effect when socketed in helmets, previously 8%. The bonded modifier now grants 12% increased reservation efficiency of companion skills when socketed in helmets, previously 10%. Boar Idol now grants allies in your presence regenerate 0.5% of your maximum life per second when socketed in scepters, previously allies in your presence regenerate 8 life per second. The bonded modifier now grants 25% increased Warcry cooldown recovery rate when socketed in gloves, previously 15%. Cat Idol now grants 25% increased accuracy rating when socketed in gloves, previously 15%. The bonded modifier now grants 30% increased charm charges gained when socketed in gloves, previously 20%. Fox Idol now has a limit of 1. It now grants other socketed idols in this item also grant their bonded modifiers when socketed in body armors, previously plus 2% to quality of all skills. The bonded modifier now grants plus 5% to quality of all skills when socketed in body armors, previously plus 4 to all attributes. Owl Idol now grants 12% increased cooldown recovery rate when socketed in foci, previously 10%. and allies in your presence have 10% increased cast speed when socketed in scepters, previously 8%. The bonded modifier now grants 20% increased effect of Archon buffs on you when socketed in foci, previously 15%. Oxidal now grants 15% increased block chance when socketed in shields and bucklers, previously 10%, and allies in your presence have plus 12% to all elemental resistances when socketed in scepters, previously 8%. The bonded modifier now grants 15% chance for damage of enemies hitting you to be unlucky when socketed in shields and bucklers, previously 10%. Primate Idol now grants minions have 15% increased maximum life when socketed in a helmet, previously 12%, and allies in your presence deal 40% increased damage when socketed in a scepter, previously 30%. The bonded modifier now grants remnants can be collected from 15% further away when socketed in helmets, previously 20%. Rabbit Idol now has a limit of 1. It now grants 12% increased rarity of items found when socketed in body armors, previously 5%, and 15% increased spirit when socketed in scepters, previously 10%.
Okay.
The bonded modifier now grants 10% increased quantity of gold dropped by slain enemies when socketed in body armors, previously 5%. Snake Idol now grants 8% increased curse magnitude when socketed into gloves, previously 5%, and allies in your presence have 10% increased attack speed when socketed in a scepter, previously 8%. The bonded modifier now grants remnants have 15% increased effect when socketed in gloves, previously 10%. Stag Idol now has a limit of 1. It now grants projectiles have 15% chance to fork when socketed in helmets, previously 50% increased thorns critical hit chance. The bonded modifier for helmets now grants 30% chance for an additional projectile when forking, previously thorns damage has 40% chance to ignore enemy armor.
Who would use this?
Wolf Idol now grants 15% increased magnitude of bleeding you inflict when socketed in gloves, previously 10%, and allies in your presence have 20% increased critical damage bonus when socketed in scepters, previously 14%. The bonded modifier now grants 25% reduced magnitude of bleeding on you when socketed in gloves, previously 15%. Atmahua's Soul Core of Retreat no longer grants 30% faster start of energy shield recharge when socketed in a body armor or focus. Instead, it now grants gain additional ailment threshold equal to 15% of maximum energy shield, and gain additional stun threshold equal to 15% of maximum energy shield. This change applies to existing items. Maximum rage on ruby jewels can now roll between +1 to 2 to maximum rage, previously +1. Existing items can possibly be updated to the new values with a divine orb. Increased chaos damage on sapphire jewels can now roll between 7 to 13%, previously 6 to 12%. Existing items can possibly be updated to the new values with a divine orb. Suffix modifiers granting faster start of energy shield recharge can no longer roll on foci, intelligence body armors, or jewels. Increased energy shield recharge rate suffix modifiers can now roll on intelligence body armors. The implicit modifier on the arcane raiment and sacramental robe body armors is now 15 to 25% increased energy shield recharge rate, instead of 40 to 50% faster start of energy shield recharge. This change does not affect existing items. The fevered prefix modifier can no longer roll on time-lost sapphire and sapphire jewels.
Why?
Of diffusion, of dispersal, and of enlivening suffix modifiers can no longer roll on body armors and foci. The of buffering suffix modifier now grants 12 to 15% increased energy shield recharge rate, previously 36 to 40%. You can divine existing items to make them worse. The of ardor suffix modifier now grants 16 to 19% increased energy shield recharge rate, previously 41 to 45%. You can divine existing items to make them worse. The of suffusion suffix modifier now grants 20 to 23% increased energy shield recharge rate, previously 46 to 50%. You can divine existing items to make them worse. Cast speed modifiers on rings and amulets are no longer shared with foci and wands. For rings and amulets these modifiers now roll at slightly higher levels. The highest tier cast speed modifier for rings now rolls at level 60, and at level 66 for amulets. The maximum values on these modifiers are unchanged.
That's fine.
Increased banner area of effect modifiers on jewels now have values of 6 to 16%, previously 10 to 20%. Existing items can be updated to the new values with a divine orb. Desecrated modifiers granting instant leech can no longer roll. Existing items will not be affected by this change. The Squire's hybrid physical damage and accuracy modifier on weapons now has a minimum level of 8, previously 1. Existing items will have their level requirement changed. The Journeyman's hybrid physical damage and accuracy modifier on weapons now has a minimum level of 14, previously 11.
Yeah.
Existing items will have their level requirement changed. The Precise accuracy modifier on weapons now has a minimum level of 8, previously 1. Existing items will have their level requirement changed. The Reliable accuracy modifier on weapons now has a minimum level of 13, previously 11. Existing items will have their level requirement changed. The gladiatorial helm base type has been renamed to Cassis Helm. Oswald no longer undercuts you for the priceless idols found in Act 3, now offering you 3,000, 4,000, and 6,000 gold for each, previously 500, 1,000, and 1,500. The gold price of weapons for asynchronous trade have been increased by approximately 50%. The desecrated map modifier of Union is no longer functional. This was a legacy modifier that only existed in the early access leagues. Return to top. Monster changes. The culling strike threshold for normal enemies is now 35% of their maximum life, previously 30%.
Great.
Monster leech resistance now starts at a later level, and values are lower at every level. All monster rarities now have the same amount of leech resistance. Essence monster packs are now affected by modifiers to pack size. Azmiri spirits that are released from monsters now retain their power and empower other spirits released from the monster. The beam from the Priest of the Sun will no longer ignore some walls. You will now refill some flask charges when Viper Nopuate sees soldiers constrict the size of her arena. The Burning Dead in Ogham Village now deal a portion of their damage as fire, previously purely physical. Improved the visuals and telegraphing of the Lightning Doryanese elite monster. Return to top. Quest changes. You can no longer enter Plunder's Point until you have turned in all 4 map pieces in King's March. You now receive a greater mind rune in the Halls of the Dead when interacting with Navali, previously a lesser mind rune. You no longer need to visit the Halani gates in order to access Trader's Passage if you have already freed Risu. Return to top. User interface changes. Added accessibility settings to increase the size of pop-ups. These can be found in the UI section of the Options panel. Added a dedicated keybind to perform a dodge roll, which will not cause the player to sprint when held down. This keybind is unbound by default, and must be manually assigned in input options if you wish to use it. Added a show only available option to the hideout decorations list when using mouse and keyboard. For players using click to move, clicking to move while channeling a skill that can be used while moving will no longer interrupt channeling. This should significantly improve the usability of skills such as Flame Breath and Incinerate on click to move. Improved visual clarity, load times and performance on the Acts 1 to 3 world maps. Additionally, they have been made to more accurately reflect the in-game directionality of area layouts. Skill information pop-outs no longer move modified stats to the top of the panel. They are still shown in blue. The notification that shows when an item in your Merchant tab shop has sold now displays a different message when the sold item is in a different league. The reroll button in the Ritual UI now pulses when you have free rerolls available. Empowered minions, from various modifiers or sources, now update the text for minion displayed on the monster. The Augment Stash tab has been updated and now has 5 sections. Marking an enemy now shows the mark on their life bar.
Yeah.
Maximum rage, rage loss delay and rage loss per second are now displayed in the character panel. Increased the maximum character limit of search text boxes to 250 characters.
Okay.
Copying an item's text now always copies the advanced description format. Searching by an item's text will now match the advanced description format. You can now set favorite traits on the currency exchange when using mouse and keyboard. You can now pin a tracking scroll to your social profile to display to your friends, guild, and party members. You can now preview microtransaction weapon skins in the cosmetics shop without needing the applicable weapon type equipped. Added a top-down camera view for editing your hideout when using a controller.
Yay!
Added a feature to quickly change the currency you are currently applying when playing with a controller.
Yay!
Reworked the currency exchange UI when playing with a controller.
We'll have to see how that works.
Improved target selection for items and interactable objects when using a controller.
It was already good
Updated
anyway.
and restructured the options menu. Enabled in-game clock option for PlayStation and Xbox.
Yay!
Return to top. Microtransaction changes.
How about adding it
Enable
to
the following
PC with
existing
controller
armor set
as well?
microtransactions for use in Path of Exile 2, Arcane, Arctic Crystal, Assassin, Atlantis, Black and White, Chimera, Colosseum, Cursed, Dark Prism, Doomguard, Eclipse, Airy, Fire, Fire and Ice, Imperial Eagle, Mage Guard, Malachai, Miracle, Scavenger, Seeker, Twilight, Void Emperor, Vulcan, and Wild. Enabled the following existing back attachment microtransactions for use in Path of Exile 2. Enabled the following existing helmet microtransactions for use in Path of Exile 2. Enabled all of the remaining portrait frame
that's stupid, don't care.
Bug fixes. Fixed a bug where life flasks. Fixed a bug where life flasks could not always be used while at full life with the Enduring Elixir's Pathfinder notable passive skill, despite it allowing their effect to stay on you while on full life. Fixed a bug where the Ritualist's Ritual Sacrifice skill gained a cooldown at level 20 specifically. Information about using Ritual Sacrifice on yourself has now been folded into the skill's description rather than being described separately on the As the Whispers Demand passive. This is purely a description change. Fixed a bug where Pounce was providing additional mark effect to Predator's mark or socketed marks. Fixed an issue that prevented Mirage Archer and Mirage Deadeye from properly rotating to follow their target while using Rapid Shot and similar skills. Fixed an issue that allowed certain skills to be socketed into Mirage Archer and Mirage Deadeye that should have been prevented. Fixed a bug that caused Devour and Feral Invocation to not interact correctly. Fixed a bug where minion instability did not bypass Last Gasp. Fixed a bug where thunderstorms could be created out of bounds. Fixed an issue where Hollow Palm technique was not providing its bonuses to most skills that could be used with any martial weapon. Hollow Palm technique now replaces your unarmed base damage for affected attacks, rather than adding damage on top of base unarmed damage. Fixed a bug that could cause modifiers to unarmed critical hit chance to not be applied to displayed critical hit chance on the skill information pop-out. Fixed several issues with mechanics that make modifiers to number of projectiles apply to other values instead. Fixed some cases where some stats giving chances for additional projectiles didn't apply to skills like Rain of Arrows that use the number of projectiles to determine a number of things to place. Fixed some cases where some stats for additional chains didn't apply to some beam skills. Fixed a bug where the benefits quality provided to Comet were not functioning. Fixed a bug where Devour and Lightning Warp were able to devour or explode some corpses they shouldn't. Fixed a bug where Poison Spores support did not have appropriate vendor and asynchronous trade prices. Fixed a bug where Burning Inscription support would create ignited ground around a monster instead of on top of the runic inscription. Fixed a bug where the low tolerance passive skill was incorrectly described as increased effect of poison instead of increased magnitude. Fixed a bug where Arctic Howl could empower you in human form while using Echoing Cry. Fixed some issues where ice crystals from Glacial Bolt could have weird damage calculations in some situations. Fixed a bug where the Wrathpith Globe unique focus was missing its unique on-cast effect. Existing items won't be fixed by this, unless you use a Divine Orb on them. Fixed a bug where Tactician's Cannons, ready. Notable passive skill would not cause totems to attack when the player uses Molten Blast, Rolling Magma, Oil Barrage, or Power-Charged Falling Thunder. Fixed a bug where the Melting Maelstrom unique Ultimate Mana Flask was unable to hit enemies. Fixed a bug where attacks that struck with both weapons simultaneously while dual wielding would have a longer attack time than intended. The intention is for these skills to use the average attack time of your weapons. Fixed a bug where skills that cost a percentage of maximum energy shield could not be used if you had no maximum energy shield. Fixed a bug where the stat giving a chance for projectiles to be able to chain from terrain did not correctly count how many chains had been used, allowing projectiles in some cases to chain forever from terrain. Fixed a bug where Forge Hammer slams would not count when tracking slams for the Titan's Ancestral Empowerment notable passive skill. Fixed a bug where Heightened Charges support would not apply to Flicker Strikes extra flickers per power charge consumed. Fixed a bug where Living Lightning 2 did not scale its level from the gem it was supporting. Fixed a bug where Into the Breach would not benefit from the Selfless Remnants support gem. Fixed numerous bugs related to the player versions of Azmiri Spirit Possessions, created by the Rite of Passage unique charm, not using their skills or otherwise not functioning correctly. Player versions of Azmiri Spirit Possession modifiers, created by the Rite of Passage unique charm, now deal dramatically more damage and use their skills more frequently. Enemy versions are unchanged. Fixed a bug where Diala's Desire lineage support did not grant quality to meta skill gems and item granted skill gems.
Fixed
a bug where the Heoxy's Fulmination lineage support was able to support non-curse skills. Fixed a bug with the Heavy Armor notable passive skill, and adjusted the description to be more clear. Fixed an issue where Shockwave Totem was able to be socketed into Ancestral Warrior Totem. Fixed a bug where Echoing Cry was able to support Ancestral Cry.
Let me check
Fixed
this.
a bug where the Melting Maelstrom unique Ultimate Mana Flask
Might have
was
to
unable
go
to hit
earlier.
enemies.
because
Fixed some unintended
I'm
support
needed
ability
somewhere.
with Mirage Archer and Deadeye for some skills. Fixed a bug where the calculation for Infernal Legion was always a critical hit if it had any amount of critical hit chance. Fixed a bug where some types of reviving minion that are intended to inherit player movement speed modifiers were not doing so. Specifically, Smith of Kitava's manifest weapon, row amount, while the player is dismounted, and hyenas summoned by the Hiseg's Claw unique talisman. Fixed some cases where two effects empowering one skill use would not stack as expected. Fixed an edge case interaction with the blood price unique helmet's reservation combining with other reservations. Fixed some cases of skills that are inherently triggered not being considered triggered skills for other stats. Fixed a bug that caused Grim Feast to sometimes fail to revive minions. Fixed a bug where projectiles were ignoring ice crystals created by frozen locus. Fixed a bug that caused Ice Nova to have the wrong visual effects and audio when repeated. Fixed a bug where the His Winnowing Flame skill granted by the Unborn Lich unique staff applied critical weakness on hit, and another bug where its triggered explosions from consuming ignite dealt no damage. Fixed a bug where channeled skills could not be interrupted by another channeled skill. Fixed a bug where Abyss Precursor tablets would add one additional Abyss each, instead of just enabling Abyss spawning.
Yeah, okay, that's
Fixed a bug where negative toughness did not apply more damage taken to the target. Now negative values of toughness will apply an equal amount of more damage taken. Effectively, each 100% of toughness halves the damage a monster takes, and each minus 100% toughness doubles the damage a monster takes. Fixed a bug that caused players to be unable to respawn if they died to Atsirai, the Red Queen or Zipakadu, the Royal Architect in party play. Fixed a bug where bosses could occasionally push players out of their arena. Rude. Fixed a bug which prevented the Iron Count from using his Sword Impale skill. Fixed an issue that prevented the Bloated Miller's backhand swing from being able to be blocked, parried, or evaded. Fixed a bug that caused some boss skills to be unable to target player minions. Fixed an issue which caused Abyss pits to sometimes not close. Fixed a bug where increased chance for maps to contain a summoning circle was instead providing base chance for maps to contain a summoning circle. Fixed a bug where Rogue Exiles had a higher maximum infusion count than intended. Fixed an issue where the boss arena force field could sometimes fail to be removed in the stronghold map after defeating the boss. Fixed a bug where experimented monsters in the Synth Flesh lab could sometime get stuck. Fixed an issue where beyond bosses were getting more damage reduction than intended when they first spawned. Fixed a bug where Arc provided additional chains regardless of whether lightning infusion was consumed. Fixed a bug where the poison on critical hit modifier on the Atsix site unique helmet did not apply to critical hits with Thorns damage. Fixed a bug where reloading or switching ammunition with a crossbow was counted as attacking. Fixed a bug where many bleed chance modifiers did not apply to Thorns damage. Fixed a bug where certain triggered skills could generate energy. Fixed a bug where the Prism of Belief unique jewel could roll modifiers for Solar Orb. Fixed a bug where Stoicism support was able to support non-attack skills. Fixed an issue where Volt support incorrectly had the chaining tag. Fixed a bug where Iron Ward's Nova wasn't correctly affected by Astral Projection support. Fixed a bug where Lightning Warp was prioritizing selected targets instead of cullable enemies or ball lightning projectiles. Fixed a bug where passives that granted increased area of effect of ancestrally boosted attacks were actually multiplicative. Fixed a bug where Blink, Parry and Raise Shield were not counted as skill uses. This also fixes a bug where using Parry or Raise Shield did not count as channeling. Fixed a bug where surpassing chance to fire an additional arrow could cause Lightning Rod arrow to fire to an incorrect location. Fixed a bug where you could be placed at an incorrect checkpoint when respawning after dying to some bosses. Fixed a bug where corrupting essences could sometimes remove the essence. Fixed a bug where minions in essence monster packs did not have their stats increased due to being a part of a rare pack.
Most of those
Fixed a bug where delirium fog would visually continue to spread while the game was paused. Fixed a bug where items without modifiers could appear in lower level ritual encounters. Fixed a bug where you could not open a portal in the boss arena of the Creek map after killing the boss. Fixed an issue where the roving wisps encounter in Crier Village was unable to be completed. Fixed an issue where summoning circles were blocking projectiles after the boss is defeated and they crumble. Fixed an issue where shrines were difficult to highlight when surrounded by enemies. Fixed an issue where you could be decensed when walking near the Tree of Souls after freeing the Hooded One in Grolwood. Fixed a bug that could cause the player to visually move away from the center of the screen when slowed while in werewolf form. Fixed an issue where the following quests wouldn't complete if you left the area before the boss had finished their death animation: Shrike Island, Isle of Kin, Wakapanu Island, Abandoned Prison. Fixed a bug where Soul Core Ultimatum encounters could be completed using a single Soul Core. Fixed a rare issue where there wasn't a small Soul Core available to use in the first stone altar in Jaquani's Machinarium. Fixed an issue where the Abyss World map icon at Ngakanu failed to complete when completing the corresponding abyssal depths. Fixed a bug where the Shoreline Hideout World map icon did not complete. Fixed an issue where ground effects could display incorrectly in Path of Mourning. Fixed an issue where certain sources of player movement would sometimes cause the player to move in a slightly different direction from what was intended. This was particularly noticeable when using a controller, and with skills that have inbuilt movement, such as dodge roll and most melee skills. Fixed an issue where parry's description did not state that all hits can be parried, instead just mentioning strikes and projectiles. Fixed an issue where Varishta's Blessing lineage support did not state that it does not modify the skills of minions. This is purely a description change. Fixed an issue where Herald of Blood incorrectly state that its damage was based on maximum life, it now correctly states that its damage is based on blood loss. Fixed a bug where various hit sound effects were playing too loudly from party members. Fixed a bug that would prevent the audio cue for energy shield being depleted from playing if the cause of the depletion was damage over time. Fixed a bug where hovering over totems in the skills panel would incorrectly prompt you to right-click to activate if you had the Ancestral Bond Keystone passive skill allocated. Fixed a bug where items that could not have an Exalted Orb applied to them were incorrectly highlighted when you went to use an Exalted Orb. Fixed a bug where double-clicking a portal or area transition with a confirmation pop-up would display that pop-up twice. Fixed an issue where boss health bars would be visible inside of the Atlas screen. Fixed a bug where your friends list could sometimes appear blank on PlayStation after experiencing an instance crash. Fixed a bug where the upgraded variants of Grip of Colmac could not be stored in the unique stash tab. Fixed a bug where the presence radius indicator could stop working in certain situations. Fixed a bug where the unsupported character glyph was showing in the thousands place for certain locales. Fixed a bug that could cause skills granted by Ascendancy passive skills to be hidden from the list of applicable skills when cutting a support gem. Fixed a bug where word-by-word text navigation, Control plus left/right, in text fields would incorrectly wrap to the end of the text input in some situations. Fixed a bug where having the hostile takeover quest completed on another character would show the Act 4 world map prior to your character being in Act 4. Fixed a bug where the bulk move action wasn't available in the market earnings page while playing with a controller. Fixed a bug where players revived while inside another object would not be moved to safety. Fixed a bug where you could not select always attack without moving for some skills. Fixed an issue where disabling the cross-play setting when playing on console would carry across when you logged into that account on a PC. Fixed a bug where couch co-op players trying to join a public party would be refused if the party only had just enough space for them. Fixed a bug when playing in couch co-op where other players could be wrongly kicked from the party if player 2 created and entered a map. Fixed a bug where Zipakadu's console could not be interacted with when playing in couch co-op. Fixed a bug where disconnecting and reconnecting a controller would disable haptics. Fixed a bug where cross-play could be disabled while the setting still showed it as enabled. Fixed a bug where you could try to select characters in 2 different leagues when playing in couch co-op. Fixed an issue where selecting solo self found in the character selection filter grayed out the create character button. Fixed a bug where controller haptic feedback for low health continued to play while the game was paused. Fixed a bug where you could become stuck inside scenery when exiting hideout editing mode when using a controller. Fixed an issue where the Enazun's Charge unique wand was missing its 3D model. Fixed a bug where Pounce's gem art did not reflect it being a meta gem. Fixed an issue where the Consuming Tentacle rare finisher effect was previously stated as being enabled in Path of Exile 2 but could not be equipped. Fixed an issue where the Black Hole rare finisher effect was previously stated as being enabled in Path of Exile 2 but could not be equipped. Fixed an issue where the Dragonfire rare finisher effect was previously stated as being enabled in Path of Exile 2 but could not be equipped. Fixed a bug where the Arachnamagus portal effect microtransaction was missing its effects. We really hope you enjoy Path of Exile 2, Return of the Ancients.
And that's
Thanks
all.
for your support.
Thanks
Return
for your
to
support.
top. Updates to patch notes.
Crazy patch notes. Actually, some things were quite improved, and those lots of bugs fixes are really good. But I'm not sure if I'm gonna be playing and what I'm gonna be playing. But if I am playing, probably gonna start the Witch. Typical for me. I don't know. It's easy to get tanky without thinking much about gear. Easy to do bosses. Easy to farm early on. and then depending on what drops or lottery crafts, because come on, that's what it is for now. Then depending on that, maybe something else. We'll see. Not sure. I don't know if there's like much more to add here. Like the most important change that I noticed for things that concern me maybe is this. Bone Storm no longer has the sustain tag. But I guess still gonna be manageable. We'll see. That's mostly a triggering thing, based on how it works. I don't know. We'll see. I guess. Stay tuned. I have to go. Really, can't comment much more except like while we were listening to the changes, because I really need to go do something else. And I guess see you next time. Thanks for stopping by. Take care.